po. So let's start our discussion with the environmental legislation and regulations muna. So based on this slide po, ano, so meron po tayong tinatawag na EPA or the Environmental Protection Agency. So yung pong EPA is the mother of all the environmental laws po natin. So bakit daw po ginawa si EPA? So it was created in 1970. So ibig sabihin po, prior to 1970, wala pa pong EPA. So prior to 1970, yun daw pong environmental pollution or environmental protection, United States was scattered across different agencies and laws. No. So for 1970 onwards, no, nagkaroon na po tayo ng EPA or the Environmental Protection Agency. So ano bang ginagawa daw po ni EPA? First, it centralized the environmental oversight. Ano po, yung mga monitoring with the projects, dapat nag-adhere sa mga compliance or nagko-comply siya with the environmental laws, enforce pollution control laws, conduct research on environmental health, and set standards for clean air, water, and waste natin. So for the EPA natin, siya na maliwanag na. So for the EPA, so this was the first time the engineers had to design systems that met the legal pollution limits natin. So through the construction or to the creation of the EPA on 1970, so it sets or it makes the um, every project adheres with the environmental laws natin. Ano po? So kaya po sabi dito, yun daw pong engineers, no, kapag daw po nagawa ng design, si engineers, kailangan daw po, kailangan ma-meet yung standards with the legal pollution limits. Ano, hindi lang pwedeng basta mag-design noong 1970 onwards. Sabihin po, every design na gagawin daw po, somehow dapat nag-adhere with the environmental laws natin. Yun po yung pinaka-main goal ni EPA during that time. Ano po?
Ay wala na kaya? Makikahabol?
So for our next slide,
May question na pa.
so sabi po dito, so environmental law became a full-time career in line with that.
Bakit po kailangan?
Kasi daw po, since nagkaroon na tayo ng EPA, yung pong agency na nag-adhere dun sa ating mga environmental laws, ano naman po yung upon the creation of the EPA, nagkaroon na po tayo ng full-time career. Full-time career in connection with the environmental laws natin. No, so ano pong ginagawa ni environmental lawyers natin? So, first, they interpret environmental regulations. Ano, they help to parang maging layman's term yung pong pinapahayag nung every law. Ano, so kaya po nagkakaroon ng mga environmental lawyers in every company or every corporation or every projects. Po, second, advise the companies on compliance. Ibig sabihin po, ginagawa po ng environmental lawyer rather, ay they help to understand and to comply with the standards set by the agency. No, yun po ginagawa. So, ina-advise yung company na hindi lang basta mag-comply but masunod din yung mga standards or conditions na gusto po nila. Ano po? So third, we have litigating pollution cases natin. So yung sa litigating kasi po, ibig sabihin siya ay to claim to claim yung po or to make pollution cases. Ibig sabihin, to analyze yung mga pollution cases na pwedeng mag-serve as their baseline if ever na yung kanilang project ay merong certain measures na kailangan. no, through litigating the pollution cases na kunyari, yung pong projects na gagawin na isang kumpanya, gagawin ng isang kumpanya, upon the erection po, di tapos na, na-develop na yung buong project, and then nagkaroon ng ah, i- i-assess mo kasi yung mga pollution, yung mga possible pollution na makakreate ng iyong project. No? Through litigating yung mga pollution cases, yung mga pollution cases natin, ibig sabihin, we can eradicate yung mga possible pollution na ma-produce ng ating project na gagawin. And for the last one po, the drafting new environmental policies natin. No, so sabi po dito, environmentals or engineers began working closely with a legal team to ensure that design, operations, and maintenance complied with the environmental laws po natin. Ano po? So I hope clear pa po ano. So next po, we have the federal and state laws. So wait lang po. So let me continue po ulit. So for the federal and state laws natin, so after the 1970, United States passed major laws just like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the RCRA or what we call the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act po natin. So which means po na ah, yung pong federal natin or yung nation natin, yun po yung nirurule ng EPA. However nga po, yung pong every state, din daw po sa USA, sa United States, I also created their own environmental agency and rules. Ibig sabihin po, it applies or it adds layer of complexity kasi po upon the creation of every project during that time sa USA, so kailangan mo mag-comply with the federal laws or yung batas ng nation as well as yung pong batas na pinapatupad ng every state. Kasi ilan bang states sa Amerika? So we have 50 states. If I'm not mistaken. So 50 states na yun, may kanya-kanya silang agency and then rules na pinapatupad. No, na kailangan kung nyari, you're going to propose or you're going to have a project in that specific state. No, kailangan mo sundan yung um, rules na pinapatupad ng state yan as well as yung rules na pinapatupad ng EPA. Ano po? So kaya medyo nagiging complex na yung implementation of every project during that time. Ano po? So sabi dito, engineers had to understand both the federal and the local standards po natin. Ano po? So yun po yun. Sila So next po. So we have the so wait lang. So next aspect po natin, so yung global institutions enter the scene. No. So upon the creation po ng ating EPA during that time or 1970 towards or onwards po. So yun po, meron na din po na global institution na nakikipag-coordinate with the EPA natin. So first, we have this organization. So ano pong organization ito? So anyone? Sige, magtawag na lang tayo. Ayun, sige nga po. Sure po kayo? Ano daw? Sure ba si engineer? Kinintindihan eh. Yun. No, so for the first organization, so ito po yung United Nations. No, so United Nations, it upholds or promotes the global sustainability or global sustainable development goals. So isa po siya sa global institution na nakikipag-coordinate or na nakikipag-coordinate with the environmental policy, Environmental Protection Agency. Ano po? So next po, we have ano pong organization nito? Anyone? Yes po.
World Bank po, sir.
World Bank. Sure ka, sure.
Sure po.
Wait, parang picture na rin, pero boses na hindi na. Boses
Malaki
nila.
Hindi po, sir. Malaki lang po po, sir.
Tunay ba? Sige, sige.
Opo.
Medyo nalito ako Ano po? So, tama po, ano? For our next organization, so this is the World Bank. No, so ano pong ginagawa ng World Bank? So, the World Bank, so it funds the eco-friendly infrastructure to projects. Eco-friendly infrastructure projects. Kasi po, hindi naman pwedeng magagawa yung project without the proper funding po natin. No, and then you have the next organization. Ano pong organizations to? Organization. Oh, yes po. Angel.
World Trade Organization po.
Yun. Bakit nyo alam yung mga logo nila? No? Mabilis yung mag-search ha. So for the next organization, this is the World Trade Organization. So it ensures the environmental rules do not unfairly block the trade. So paano po itong tatlong organization na to is nag-adhere with the EPA natin. So for example, we have this project na magka-propose tayo ng isang power plant. Or let's say ano lang siya, isang solar power plant. Solar powered. So kailangan first it must meet the requirements under the EPA po natin. Ano? So ano ba yung mga requirements ng EPA? Kailangan mag-produce, ano ba yung mga potential or ba yung mga potential pollution na makakreate ng project na yan. So, kailangan natin i-assess, kailangan natin ng impact assessment. Ano po? And after that, we need to coordinate or we need to implement yung pong SDGs na pinapatupad ni UN. After the implementation of the SDGs, kung alin po yung target SDGs natin, so after that po, we need to have funds. No, that's why we need to coordinate with the World Bank, no, for a proper funding of the infrastructure natin. No, that's why yung pong project na yan is dapat tumutugon po siya dun sa ating SDGs kasi if it is not um, if it is not addressing the SDGs natin, then yung pong World Bank ay hindi siya magbibigay ng funding with that project specifically. Ano po? And next, we have to ensure yung po environmental rules do not unfairly block the trade. Bakit po? Kasi uh, let's say na-approve na ni EPA at saka ni UN saka ni World Bank yung for the proper funding ng ating project, ng proposed project natin. So we need to have the materials needed for the erection of that project. So paano po papasok si World Trade Organization? So for example, that yung po specific material na need for the project ay kailangan pa niyang i-import or kukunin sa ibang country. So ang gagawin po ni World Trade Organization, so kailangan ma-ensure na yung material na yun kapag po in-import or pag po kinuha sa ibang bansa and dinala dito sa ating sa specific area kung saan siya gagamitin. So dapat nagko-comply pa rin siya sa mga standards. Hindi lang dun sa mismong standard ng material but sa standard ng environment kapag siya ginamit. No? So paano siya paano pumasok sa World Trade? Kailangan upon the acquiring that material, no? So nagkakaroon pa rin ng trading. Kasi what if yung material na yun is openly accessible lang sa nation na yon or sa lugar na yon and then hindi pinayagan ng World Trade Organization na papasukin yung material na yon, then the project will not progress. Na po. So that's why we ensure din po na yung pong material na gagamitin sa every project, if it is galing po sa ibang bansa, is nag-ensure it entails with the environmental rules pa rin po. So this organization plays a vital role in regards with the implementation of every project under the EPA natin. No. So clear pa po tayo doon. So I hope clear pa po ano. Kasi wala pa tayo sa mga batas. Ano ba? So let me continue. So let's have this example. So let me erase lang po ito. So let me continue po. So for example, no, we're going to erect a coal-fired power plant. For example, so pagka we're going to compare yung pong mga requirements during the 1980s and the requirements up to this day. No, we have five aspects here. So we have the air pollution, we have the waste disposal, we have the water discharge, legal oversight, and the global influence natin. Then for the air pollution, during the 1980s, so few controls lang yung kailangan. However, kapag po ngayon tayo magtatayo ng isang a coal-fired power plant, so it must meet the EPA Clean Air Act limits. So ano po ba yung Clean Air Act limits? So we will discuss that further regarding our legislations. So yung po ibig sabihin, yung pong air na dapat generate or pinoproduce po ng ating planta, so meron siyang standard na sinusunod. So hindi tayo pwedeng mag-discharge lang ng air, no? The 1980s, so it is allowed to dump yung pong ating mga waste into a landfills. However po, during this day, so it must follow the RCRA hazardous waste protocols po natin. So again po, ano po yung RCRA? Nakalimutan na agad. Discuss lang kanina. Ano pong RCRA? Wala po nakakaalala? Sige, magtawag na lang tayo. Oh, fine. Sige. Si Dimano po. Eloisa. Nandito po ba?
Yes po, Resource Conservation and Recovery Act po.
Oh, yun. Alam mo pala, ito mga walang nasagot. Ano po? So, for the waste disposal, so it must follow the RCRA hazardous waste protocols po natin. And then for the water discharge, during the 1980s, so it has a minimal treatment na kailangan po. So, sa every discharge. However, nowadays, so it must meet the Clean Water Act standard. Just like the Air Pollution Control Act po, or the Clean Air Act limits natin. So, meron din po mga standard na sinusunod with regards sa mga discharge po. In terms of the discharge of the water from our plant. No, so hindi po tayo basta mag-discharge. We need to filter, especially mga wastewater. We need to treat yung pong ating mga wastewater before discharging it to the environment po. Again, kasi those wastewater can exhibit heavy metals po or heavy chemicals that can be detrimental to our environment po. Ano po? So next po, we have the legal oversight. For the legal oversight, so during the 1980s, rare or up to wala po masyadong concern with regards to the legal insights. With regards to the legal oversight po ng pag may pinapatayo po tayong project. However, during this day po, so lawyers review every permit and design. Bakit po? Kasi po, kailangan yung permit na i-issue po with regards sa project is nagko-comply with the nation standard or with the policy of that specific nation. Kasi po, specific, kunyari po sa Pilipinas, for you to progress onto the next stage with regards to your project, with regards to your project po, kailangan nag-adhere siya with the standard of the DENR. And as well as yung po mga environmental assessment na kailangan. Ano po? Kasi bago ka mabigyan ng permit, so dadaan ka sa rigorous steps para ma-ensure na yung pong project mo is hindi siya high risk. Or if it is high risk naman, so kailangan pero mga conditions na imi-meet. Ano po? That's why kailangan po yung mga legal oversight na yun. And the last aspect po for this example is the global influence. No, during the 1980s, wala naman masyadong influence na or global influence nakatulong yung EPA natin. No, however nga po, during this day, so it must consider yung pong ating UN Climate Goals or the UN Sustainable Development Goals natin as well as yung pong World Bank funding rules natin. Ano po? So, clear pa po tayo?
Yes po.
Ayun po. So, now let's discuss the Philippine environmental laws po natin. But before we proceed with our Philippine environmental laws, so ano po kayang nakalagay na pala, no? So, it must meet yung pong standard, just like what I've said earlier, ng DENR po natin. So, why these laws matter po? So, bakit ba mahalaga yung Philippine? Wait lang po. So, bakit po ba mahalaga yung Philippine environmental laws po natin? So, first, para po, kasi nga po, ang Pilipinas, so the Philippines is rich, it is rich in natural resources, but it is highly vulnerable to climate change, to the pollution, and to the biodiversity loss natin. So first, yung pong climate change. So alam naman po natin ano, so our nation, or our country has been struck by simultaneous typhoons lately. So that's why ano, um, vulnerable tayo sa climate change. Kasi nga po, so we are prone with catastrophic events. Kaya nga po, we need to implement this environmental laws po natin. Next po, to the pollution. For pollution, so because just like the every factories, vehicle, waste, no, though they produces pollution that can deteriorate or nakakasira po siya sa ating um, natural environment. That's why we need to adhere with the environmental laws natin. And next, we have the biodiversity loss. No. So due to the illegal practices, just like the habitat destruction, the deforestation. So those were the activities, or those were examples of the activities that lead to the biodiversity loss. That's why, again, we need to adhere with the Philippine environmental laws. That's why it is created. Sabi po dito, so to address these threats, the government created a legal framework. Ano po ba yung legal framework? So, legal framework po, it is a set of laws. So, a set of laws that engineers, developers, and citizens must follow to protect, no, to protect the environment, not just the environment, but to protect as well the public health. That's why we need to have the proper education in terms with the Philippine environmental laws. Not just the education, but proper understanding as well. No, kasi soon we're become professionals, and then kailangan po nating alam yung mga concepts na to. No. So are we clear with that? Yun, I hope so. Po. Again, let me continue. For our first legislation, we will discuss about the, so let me erase lang to. First, you have the Presidential Decree 1586. Ano po ba yung Presidential Decree 1586? So yung pong Presidential Decree or the PD 1586, it is issued in 1978. Sabi po dito. So masyadong manipis. So it is issued in 1978. No. It was enacted in 1978 to establish the PEISS, or what we call the Philippine Environmental Impact Statement Systems. Ano po yung PEISS natin? So in line with that, so we have the core objectives of the PD 1570 or 1586 po natin. So for the main goal of our PD 1586, so it is to ensure that the development of every project do not cause significant harm to the environment. Yung parang pinaka main goal po niya. May iba natin dito, no? Ensure ensure that development of every project do not cause significant harm to the environment. Yan po. So, yun po yung pinaka-main goal ng ating PEISS under the PD 1586. So, for the core objectives, so we have 4. No. So, protect the environment, balance the socioeconomic development with ecological sustainability, require the EIS or the environmental impact statements, and mandate the environmental compliance certificates po natin. So, ibig sabihin po, first, yung pinaka-core objectives niya, prevent environmental degradation. Now, we need to prevent the environmental degradation from large-scale project or high-risk project. No, yun po yung under ng ating PD 1586. Yan po. Now, specifically, so it adheres with the protect the environment. So next po, the balance the socio-economic development with ecological sustainability. So it promotes sustainable development by integrating yung pong ating environmental planning into the project planning po natin. Dito po siya. Into project design. No. So, ibig sabihin po, it promotes the sustainable development. No, upon the promoting the sustainable development, it also balances the socioeconomic development with the ecological sustainability po natin. So, both of them go hand in hand. So, next po, require. Na ibig sabihin po, so both of these core objective ano, so both of these core objectives, so it empowers yung po ating government oversight. Ano po? So under po nating PEISS, so we have 5 key components. So yun lang po. So under the PEISS po natin, so we have 5 key components. No. So let's discuss the 5 key components one by one po. So ito po ano. So under ng ating PEISS, so we have the EIA, we have the EIS, we have the ECC, and we have the ECP and the ECA. So let's discuss that one by one. So first, let's discuss the environmental impact assessment. Mamaya, mamaya. Let's have the environmental impact assessment. That is the EIA po natin. So ano pong ginagawa sa EIA? So under the EIA, so it is a technical study. Ano po? So technical study that evaluates no yung po mga potential effects po na ating project. No, siya po yung technical study that evaluates. So kindly take note po ano, yung mga sinusulat kasi po, if I remember it correctly, parang hindi ko siya nasama sa inyong lecture notes. Environmental effects. OV project. Ano po? So that is the EIA. So after the EIA, we have the EIS, or what we call the environmental impact statement naman po. So let me move this one. Ito po sa taas. So we have the environmental impact statement. Ito po, or the EIS natin. So ano naman po si EIS? So EIS is a formal document. Ano po? Sabi kanina, yung pong EIA natin is a technical study that evaluates the environmental effect of a project. Yun ang pong EIS natin, it is the formal document. Ibig sabihin po, yung pong assessment na ginawa po sa EIA, so ita-transform mo siya sa formal document. No? So, nakalagay po dito yung mga findings. No, take note po na siya ay formal document daw po. So, yun, wala. Mhm, nasaan na siya? Ayun, di pala nag-save. No, so we have the, again po, so I hope natanda naman po yung sinulat ko kanina. Yung po EIA, it is a technical study that evaluates po the environmental effects of a project, whereas yun naman pong EIS or the Environmental Impact Statement, it is a formal document submitted by the developer detailing the EIA findings po natin. Ano po? So I hope clear po yun. So next key component po, in line with the PEISs natin is the um, ECC or the Environmental Compliance Certificate po natin. So let me write lang po. Hmm.
Kasi meron na ba kayo online mo na?
Ano po? So, sorry for interruption again. So, for the ECC, so, kung ang EIA natin is technical study, ang EIS natin is the formal document, ang ECC po natin is permit. No, siya na po yung permit. So, sabi po rito, ito yung permit issued by the DNR po. By the DNR if the project, ano po, kung, if and only if po, yung pong project ay nag-pass na dun sa environmental review or yung pong sa ating EIA natin. No, kung yung sinabit nilang formal document ay pumasa sa standard ng ating DNR po. Ano po, yung pong tatandaan. Ano po? So for the next, we have the ECP or what we call the environmentally critical project naman po natin. Critical project, environmentally critical project. So, ano naman po to? So, ito po, environmentally critical project, it is a category po. No, you're going to categorize the project if it is under the high potential for environmental damage or not. No. So, let me write again so that you can have a notes or familiarize with what I'm saying po. So, ito po yung projects with high potential or environmental damages po natin. Ano po? So, ano ba yung mga projects na with high potential for environmental damages? So, can you give nga na example? So, let's have Betis.
Mag-favorite ako ng tarapap eh.
Dito po si Betis.
Sir, wala daw po. Wala daw po siyang internet connection.
Okay po. So, Villa del Rey.
Hello po, sir.
Okay po.
Yung may mga projects, yung mga projects po na may high potential po ang impact sa environment. For example po yung mga hydro electric power plant po. Given po kasi yung need i-clear na area, ay parang though beneficial po siya, nandun pa rin po yung extent po ng impact ng project.
Ano po? So, tama pa yung mga dams natin. As well as yung pong pinaka-basic na talaga nagde-deteriorate natin environment is yung mining. Ano po? So, those are examples na with high potential of environmental damages po natin. So, under po siya ng ECP. So, related po sa ECP, we have what we call the ECA or environmentally critical areas naman po. No, so, let me write din po. Environmentally critical areas. So for the ECA natin, so from the term itself, no, so it pertains to the sensitive locations. Ano po? So, as mentioned nga po ni Engineer Villa del Rey kanina, no? So, kapag nagtayo tayo kunyari ng hydroelectric dam, ano? So, we are integrating an enclosure with the specific body of water into the environment. So, to the specific water sa environment natin. That's why, it is under the ECA po kasi, meron pong sensitive location upon the creation of the hydroelectric dam. Bakit po? Kasi po, yung pong partition ng pong ating natural environment, o yung pong ating land area, dun sa, dun sa ating bodies of water, no, that is what we call the watersheds. No, kapag po nagkaroon na enclosure, yung pong bodies of water natin, so magkakaroon po ng harang ano. So, nadi-disrupt yung watershed. That's why, upon the creation of the dams natin or the hydroelectric dams specifically, so it disrupts yung po ating mga watersheds. That's why, under po siya ng ECA. Ano pa po? Yung po ating mga coral reefs. No, so under din po siya ng ECA. Kapag po yung may mga coral reefs na medyo malapit sa shore, no, kapag po gusto mag-create ng mga resorts, ano, so minsan hindi pinapayagan yung mga private owners. Ano po? So those are these are the examples of the key components under the PEISS po natin. Ano po? So are we clear with that? So first, ito nga po, no? Let's take this as an example in line with our PD 1586 natin. So let's have construction of hydroelectric dam. So a private company proposes to build a hydroelectric dam in a mountainous region of Luzon to generate renewable energy. So why it is fall under the PD 1586? Because the project is environmentally critical. Bakit po? Due to its scale at saka po sa location. Scale kasi po siya ay hydroelectric dam. So, hindi naman siya, so it has a specific reservoir size para po siya yung makategorize under the hydroelectric dam. That's why it falls under the environmentally critical due to its size and its location. No, sa ECP and ECA po siya. Location kasi po siya ay it will be built under the mountainous region of Luzon. Na po. And next, it affects the watershed. It affects the watershed, which is an environmentally critical area, just like what I've mentioned earlier. Po. And it involves land alteration, displacement of communities, and impact on the biodiversity po natin. So now let's discuss one by one. Ano po? So let me erase to. Baka malito lang kayo. Let me erase kasi susulatin ko naman ulit talaga siya. Ano po? Okay, for the step-by-step application po ng ating PD 1586 po. So first, so ito po nasa presentation ko, may kulang po akong step na nalagay. So first po, we have the project screening. For the project screening, so paano po nangyayari sa project screening? So ang gagawin daw po, ika-classify po ni DNR yung pong project into an ECP. Again po, ECP po siya. Ano, na-discuss ko na siya earlier. Bakit po siya ECP? Kasi po, it will emit, there will be high emissions regarding with the construction, as well as yung pong potential water contamination na mangyayari in regards to the construction of that dam. Also nga po, it is proximity. Mayroon siyang proximity to a watershed. That's why it falls under the ECA naman po natin. No. So, yun po yung mangyari sa project screening natin. So, ika-classify po siya ni DNR. So, with regards sa ating environmentally critical project and areas. After po nun, we're going to conduct the EIA or the Environmental Impact Assessment. Ano po? Ano nangyayari sa EIA, just like what I've mentioned earlier. So, yung pong ating mga specific companies, meron silang assigned personnel, specifically, yung pong environmental engineers. Yung ating company, dapat meron silang environmental engineers na naka-assign sa mismong project. So, ano pong gagawin ng environmental engineer? Ang gagawin po ng environmental engineer, so, i-analyze na po yung air and water pollution or air and water risk pala po. Air and water pollution risk. Also, we're going to assess the impact on the local biodiversity. So let me continue. So after the assessment, nga po, magkakaroon ng assessment impact sa local biodiversity. And then, we're going to consult. I-consult po natin yung pong communities within that vicinity as well as yung pong ating local government units. No. Kasi sila po ay involved din po sa project na gagawin.
Kanang kilaw.
130 po.
Pili ako ng isang kilo.
And also, upon the consultation, we're going to propose as well. Propose the mitigation measures po natin. Ano po ba yung mga mitigation measures natin? So, it includes the dust control for the construction process and for the wastewater treatment. When the develop project, succeed. Kailangan natin mga wastewater treatment so that we can We cannot just discharge yung pong ating mga wastewater na illegally. We were going to discharge yung ating mga wastewater na filtered na po. No, that's why we need to propose a mitigation measures upon the proposal of the or upon the conduction of the EIA natin. Ano po? So after that, we're going to submit the EIS. No, so ito na po siya. So ito na po yung part na yun. So we're going to, so the company must prepare a detailed EIS or what we call the environmental impact statement po natin. No, so magsasabit po ng EIS, yung pong nagpa-propose ng project. So ano pong dapat naka-include sa EIS natin? So dapat po naka-include sa EIS natin yung po ating baseline environmental data. Also, we need to know the predicted impacts of our project. Also, as well as yung pong mitigation and monitoring plans. Kasi nga po, nag-propose kayo ng mitigation na measures. Kailangan din natin yung mitigation and monitoring plans. We're not just proposing. We need to monitor those measures so that we can ensure that we are complying with requirements set by the DNR po or the agency that we need to follow. And also the emergency response strategy po natin.
Okay, so we have our process design.
Ano po? So upon the submission of the EIS natin, so it will undergo the review and public consultation. DNR review and public consultation. So ang gagawin po sa phase na yon, so DNR review and public consultation. So DNR reviews the EIS, yung po pinasa natin na EIS dito po. I'm going to review and holds public hearing. Bakit po kailangan ng public hearing? So that if yung pong mga stakeholders or yung pong communities ay may concern regarding sa ating project, so they can raise that concern and address para po ma-address nung company yung pong concern ng communities or yung pong mga stakeholders natin. No, so sabi po dito, evaluates EIC by the DNR. Yun po, mag-evaluate po na sinabit na EIS ng company na yun is what we call the engineer in charge. No, that's why it is called
Process flow diagram. Okay.
we have the EIC natin. So yun po mag-evaluate na ating pinasang EIS. So next po, if yun daw pong EIS natin is approved, if yung pong ating EIS ay approved, so mag-i-issue na po tayo ng what we call the ECC or the Environmental Compliance Certificate po natin. Ibig sabihin po, kapag daw po yung ating project is na-meet niya yung all requirements and saka yung community concern po ay na-address na din. So, by that action, we're going pwede na po mag-issue DNR ng ECC. However, upon the issuance of the ECC, merong conditions ng ating DNR. Hindi lang basta mag-i-issue ng permit. So may mga conditions na dapat ma-meet po yung company with regards to sa mga projects na yan. And after po nun, so that's why you have 6. And last step po natin, we have what we call the post-monitoring or the post-ECC monitoring. Ito po.
What should be the product output?
The post-ECC monitoring.
Basically, the product output is the usual. Ito yung gusto natin ma-achieve.
So bakit po kailangan ng post-ECC monitoring? Kasi we need to assure, we need to ensure. We need to ensure that the company must comply with the ECC conditions. Ano po, sabi natin dito, upon the issuance of the ECC, so hindi na siya basta issue, mayroong mga conditions na kailangan i-meet yung company with regards to the project. That's why we need to have the post-monitoring or the post-ECC monitoring so that we can ensure that kino-comply po nila yung mga ECC conditions na yan. Kasi if they fail to do so, it can result to fine or suspension or the cancellation of the said permit. Ano po? So, in the case po na kunyari, yung pong EIS natin is na-reject. Nagkaroon ng rejection. So, paano pong gagawin ni company or ni pong may hawak ng project? First, ang gagawin po ni company is magkakaroon siya ng reassessment. Upon the reassessment, ano pong include doon? We have what we call magkakaroon po siya ng redesign. Bakit po kailangan redesign? To reduce yung pong reservoir size. Kasi baka po kaya siya na-reject yun yung EIS is that masyadong malaki yung pinopropose yung project and hindi siya suitable or masyado siyang makakasira doon sa specific location or sensitive area natin. So, also, kailangan din po ng wildlife corridor is created kapag po na-reject yung pinopropose mong hydroelectric dam. Bakit po? Kasi nga po, kapag po nag-propose tayo ng hydroelectric dam, magkakaroon tayo ng enclosure. Nagkakaroon ng partition yung po ating land part dun po sa ating bodies of water. And upon the creation of that aspect or yung creation po ng partition na yun, magdi-disrupt po siya ng watershed. Yung pong watershed na yun, doon kasi yung parang nagiging way ng makapag-connect yung wildlife from point 1 to point 2. Kasi let's take this. Kunyari, ito yung ating bodies of water, dito yung land part. So kapag naging closure siya, hindi na siya makakapunta agad yung wildlife from this point to this point. Po? Kasi maharangan na siya. That's why kailangan po magkaroon ng wildlife corridor. Wildlife corridor para po they can still go from point 1 to point 2. And then, also, the company must commit to reforestation and the community relocation assistance po. So, that is under the PD 1586 po natin. So, since it's already 1 p.m., so I think that concludes our meeting for today. So, I will continue the discussion po for our next meeting. So sorry po if nag-overtime tayo na 6 minutes. So medyo mahaba po kasi discussion ng chapter 4. And we need to finish that so that you can grasp the concept. Kasi po kailangan niyo po siya sa next week. Next week will be your quiz number 2. So it encompasses chapter 3 and chapter 4. Also the submission of case study number 1. So I will make an announcement regarding sa case study number 1 niyo po. And kailangan niyo po siyang ma-accomplish this week kasi next week niyo po siya ipapasa. Po. So regarding naman po sa case study, hindi naman niyo po siya kailangang i-present. Just going to submit the hard copy as well as yung pong soft copy ng inyo pong case studies. Po.
Gagamit ka na dito.
Yes po. Nabasa ko na yung email ni Engineer Ash, ni Engineer Garcia. Po. So, you have any clarifications? Violent reactions? Anything? Wala po. Yes po. Ano pong tanong?
Sir, ang tanong lang po is, nasa school po ba kayo pag
Fair process.
Bakit?
yung ano po kasi, yung bayad po sa module area, dapat po nasa po nagpasok.
Okay po. Yes po. Nasa school po ako ng Wednesday.
Sige po, sir. Thank you po.
Sige po. Mag-message na lang po si Engineer Brea kung nasa labas na ng faculty. Ano po? So, any clarification po? Wala na?
So, yan na yung completeness.
So, if you do not have any clarification, so kindly turn on your camera po so that we can have our screenshot or the photo op po natin.
Okay? there's no such clear understanding on what you are going to do. No, there's no clear understanding on what you are going to design. No, natatapos
Yeah.
yung design pero hindi masabi kung ano ang i-design. No.
So also pala po, so I will announce kung kailan po yung ating makeup class. No, kasi I am, kasi feel ko hindi matatapos yung discussion din bukas kasi ilang pang slides yan. So we're going to discuss sa 7 or 8 remaining laws pa. Siguro kasama na yung ano diyan. Ano ba? So sino po mag-screenshot? Yung treasurer ulit.
Ako po.
Sige po.
Smile po.
No?
One,
So, kailangan din nagagawa ka. Kailangan din
Kahit ni
pagdating
Sabrina.
ng week 10 or week 11, meron mo
Daw.
nagawa sa inyo. Design hindi
Okay na po.
luma pa lang magsisimula.
Okay po, so kainisan na lang po kay Indra Abrea. And that concludes our meeting for the day. No, so thank you. O, sana pong tanong?
Ng ano na,
Sir, excuse me po, meron din po akong email sa